Hello everyone and welcome to the 2017 Nantucket Open. I'm your host Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Big Jerm, Jeremy Koling, and Big Jerm. This is a special event for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, this is one of the events that we all look forward to as touring players. Right between the Vibram Open and the Green Mountain Championships, Nantucket is a special place. Todd Rainwater, our host, and his wife Louisa are special hosts, and the event itself is just always well run. Every player is meant to feel special, and the disc golf course is incredible.
We've got a great lineup here for this first round. Let's get to the action with commentary by Big Jerm and myself right here with the Disc Golf Guy. Jerm, we're starting off on hole number 6. A little unusual not to be starting on the tee of 1 with all the tee time events that you guys play, but pretty difficult hole to get started.
Yeah, we've got a par 5 here, dog leg left, and I threw a Nate Sexton Firebird, and it looks like Doss was going with his Z-Force that he likes to throw, and Simon's going to be trying to go big here.
Is there really any hole Simon doesn't try to go big on?
No, especially not par 5s. This is about as lucky as a tee shot could ever possibly be, plus about 100 feet. So.
Plenty of power. And our fourth guy rounding out the card, Nate Perkins. We've seen some great performances out of Nate around the tour this year.
Yeah, he gets a bad break there. Nice pull there from Nate Perkins, but he's been playing really well as of late.
And Nate Doss trying to get around all the trees here. This is one of the more wooded holes that you'll find out here for being so long.
Yeah, it's a really difficult 2-shot hole, or 3-shot hole actually. It's a par 5. And I'm just barely off the fairway. And one of the things you're going to see...
Terrible first bounce.
Yeah, that was a terrible first bounce. One of the things you will see out here is that the rough just off the fairway is so thick. If you're off the fairway at all, you're going to have trouble getting a stance, and it's going to be really difficult to get a clean throw.
It's very punishing. We see some players almost have to use a shot just to get out, and Simon goes big.
It goes Simon route. We need to come up with a term for when he does these kind of things. I just Simon doing Simon things works, but I mean it's more than that. And awkward stance there. I've got to lean out with my left foot, throwing with my right foot behind my lie. A pretty decent shot actually, leaving myself about 35 feet or so. But we need to not forget the fact that Simon is going to be putting for a freaking eagle to start this tournament off. I mean, this is early in the morning. We're not used to this early of a starting.
Yeah, you guys are actually going to play 2 rounds on this John Houck par 68 course.
Oh, yeah. And just a bit left side from Nate. And look at that. What a way to start your day off. What an incredible 3. I mean, I have no idea how many times this hole's been 3'd before, but I've certainly never seen it before.
Simon with a grin from ear to ear. You left yourself with this for a putt.
Yeah, I just wanted to lay that one up.
Yeah,
I'm
I like
about
it.
35 feet. There's no need to make that putt to start the day off. And we got stab of the putt. Nate Doss was our clean sweeper. This guy was pretty clutch on the sweeping all day long. One of the new additions to the course this year was brooms on every single tee pad. Thank you again, Todd Rainwater, for listening to the suggestions from the touring players.
And this is, in fact, the shortest hole you guys will find.
On tour. On tour, not just on this course. This is the shortest hole on tour.
I think Simon's putt for eagle was further than what he just threw it there.
Yeah, no kidding. And after hitting that tree, it looks like he's going to be looking at the same score on a 175-foot hole as he was on the par 5.
And you go with a little stand-up, was that a rock of sorts or some kind of mid-range?
MD2, just a straight mid-range that I like to throw for these kind of woodsy technical shots.
And a pro move you see here by Nate Doss, just standing on the end of the tee, doesn't need a run-up at all, feels most comfortable just standing there as if it's an approach shot.
I'd say he might be the best in the game at the putter shots. Him and Paul McBeth are so accurate with a very little run-up. And Perkins has caught a tree on the left side as well. They're going to have long putts even though they hit trees halfway up the fairway.
And yeah. Simon's just going to put it next to the pin. Like you said, he throws one 600 or 700 feet, takes the 3,
yeah.
And now he's lining up a 3 here on a 200-footer.
And again, I just wanted to lay that one up.
Okay.
You know, we're off
warm those chains
up. It's early in the morning. There's no need to be cocky. Yeah, and I think Nate's doing the same thing there. I mean, he just wants to put it in the chains, warm the chains up for the next group behind us. And that's just a bad break for Perkins. I mean, to get a bogey in this hole is just, really to take a par on it is pretty unacceptable. But our card actually finishes at even par. Not so good.
Not great.
But Nate did well, so good for him.
Now moving on to what is another little bit of a shorter par 3 here. And this is another one you really feel like you need to get on this course.
Yeah, I mean, it's for how short it is, it really gives you a lot of fits. I mean, the line with those 3 trees right in the middle of the fairway just makes it awkward enough that you have to decide if you're going to go straight or if you're going to try to break a sidearm around those trees. A little flex shot. Simon says, I'll have none of it, and I'll just go over the top of everything.
The circle.
Yeah, as he said, looking for getting inside the circle, but
Yeah.
really no one else in their right mind would take the route that Simon just
Not
took.
many. I mean, it's a straight shot. You can see the gap in front of you, and I always prefer, personally, to throw, if I can see the gap, I want to hit that gap. There's no need for me to try to bring in trees around corners that I can't see, but, Simon proves to me that was obviously the better shot of the two.
And we see that the tee pads, and I'm going to go ahead and foreshadow just a little bit. It's early morning. There's a little bit of dew and whatnot on the tee pads, and everyone wants to make sure their footing is good.
Yeah, these tee pads, with the dew in the morning, it makes it in the little dirt that's on the bottom of your shoes. Everybody's tracking dirt on their tread, and then that brings it onto the tee pad. And like I said, it's a good thing that they supplied the brooms. Otherwise, these tees would have just been really slick.
And Simon's crazy route is going to result in a birdie. We see that Nate wasn't able to even draw any metal on the previous putt, so it looks like everyone's still trying to find their putting stroke. And that one, Perkins is going to look all the way in as you guys clean up the rest of the putts here. You're going to move on to another hole that you're going to really want to get when you move over to 9 in just a moment here. You've got a pretty quick routine on the short ones, don't you?
Yeah, I don't really like to look at it too long. I think long, think wrong is sometimes what I'm going through in my mind. I just want to step up and let it fly.
Doss will tap in, and shortly we'll move on to hole number 9. What are you thinking on this shot as there's a couple different options to go backhand, forehand?
Well, I mean, this isn't even close to a second thought for me. This is a Sexton Firebird all day. This is a shot that when I'm feeling even the slightest bit of confidence, this is a no-brainer birdie for me. But when you are a little bit, I don't know, you didn't start off the way you wanted to. Right now, I'm par through 3 holes, and that's really not good at all. So I'm kind of second guessing myself, but Simon's obviously he's 3 down through 3 with a par. So I mean he's feeling it right now, and I think that this hole definitely benefits a player who throws a fairway driver forehand as opposed to the turnover. But really all you got to do is just throw a straight shot. There's a couple trees to avoid, and Doss has done a great job, and he's going to be parked for his birdie.
Yeah, hole 9 is 282 feet, so it's really in a range that anybody should be able to throw backhand or forehand. Just a matter of, I think, committing to that shot, and you got to make sure you hit the gap.
Yeah. And you just want to avoid doing that.
So was that turned over? Did you roll your wrist? What happened there?
Yeah, I turned it over a bit. My Sexton Firebird is nice and beat up, and I really like it because it goes straight pretty much all the flight. But if I don't put a little bit anhyzer on it, it wants the hyzer. I just got a little bit more anhyzer on it than I really wanted, so it just drifted off a bit to the left. And at this point, I'm thinking, all right, I'm tired of warming up. Let's get things going here. This is kind of a slow start.
This is your second year at Nantucket Open, is that correct?
Yeah, it's my second year, and it's a tournament that I'll never miss it again. As long as I'm touring and I'm somewhere in the area and I don't have a crazy obligation somewhere else, I'm not going to miss this event. I mean, the course itself is incredible, but we don't come 100% for the disc golf. We come for the side events. We come for the festivities and the event that Todd runs from all week long.
It is a great event. So after a little bit of what some would say is like a par 3 alley, we
Yeah.
saw 7, 8, and 9. Now we're getting back to business with some much more difficult shots.
Yeah, I mean, this is a par 68, I believe, and I mean, we got to get these par 4s rolling here because there's a lot of difficult, tricky, technical shots that require you placing your tee shot in the right spot to be able to get up and down, and this is definitely one of those.
Yeah, this measures in at 583 feet, and like so many of the par 4s and 5s out here, placement is key because if you're 10 feet left or right, you may find yourself pinched up against something with no good run-up.
And once again, and he's calling to miss it, does not miss it, gets a bad kickoff to the left side there. He's going to have some distance to make up, but as long as he's not in the rough, he should be able to manage some sort of shot up towards the green.
That's a great shot there by Nate Perkins, coming in with the forehand line.
And like I said, at this point I was thinking, okay, it's time to breathe. Let's take a second here and refocus. Let's get a round started here. And I really just wanted to make sure I committed 100% to this shot. I'm throwing a Star Wraith. And that's about as good as I really ever expect to throw it. Right in the middle of the fairway, and that gives me a look, maybe throwing like a little floating putter shot at the basket. And it looks like Nate actually was kind of in a bad spot, or actually really was in a really bad spot. And look at this shot from Simon. I mean, showing off the athleticism, incredible lean out throw, almost falling while he's throwing.
Yeah, just
really
to be able to generate that kind of power with a standstill with your back to the hole like that.
Really impressive.
And this is a relatively simple shot for you, but it's so awkward watching you throw that, that medium distance backhand approach. I'm sure if you had the line on it, you would have loved a forehand there.
Yeah, the forehand approach is certainly what I've always preferred, but at that distance, and a good putt there from Nate, at that distance, it's really similar to the distance I like to play catch when I'm warming up. And so a lot of times when I see the basket, I just picture the person that I'm playing catch with and just try to throw a floating shot to him. And
Goss is going to tap in for the only par, and we'll see 3 other birdies by the rest of the card. We're going to move on to hole 11. And now Simon Lizotte. I was saying a few times, this is low percentage.
Yeah.
All for the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% all for the show. It's Simon living Simon's life. And that's what, that his life is all about doing that kind of stuff. And it is kind of showy, but at the same time, obviously it's effective. If he can go over the top and keep a disc turning like he just did there, even if you are in the rough, you can figure out a way to get through 60 feet of rough. It's just...
He's willing to sacrifice a little bit of that accuracy for the distance he's getting. The problem is if there's not a spotter always ready to hunt down your disc and you throw it 600 feet off into the middle of nowhere, it may not benefit you the way you want it to.
And there was... I was doing my little Simon impersonation of just flailing my arms. Not that that's what he does, but I don't know how he gets so much power behind it. So, and I'm calling for a miss it. I get the miss it. Thanks. And I make it right where I want to be there. It's going to be a little tight alley. No matter what you do here, you're going to have a really tricky approach. But the objective is just to get around this corner and be as far right as possible. Anything left is going to make bring a lot more trees into the equation, and it's going to be a much more difficult approach.
Now this hole is 571 feet, but I have to say it again, it's all about placement. You just said that.
Yeah. It is a pure placement shot from tee to green. And Nate has done an incredible job. He's gone a bit long, but he's going to have a putt inside the circle or so for his birdie. And Perkins kind of had to get a bit aggressive, go with a Simon line there, trying to go over the top of everything.
And this one looks dialed.
Yeah, it's my MD2 that I got from Seppo Paju when I was in Finland, and it's been flying so well for me. And really trusty to throw a little hyzer flip. And like I said, once you're 550 feet up the fairway, it's not hard to find a way to get up and down. And gosh, this is the second time we've seen Nate draw, or third time we've seen Nate draw chains and not go in.
Doss with a solid straddle out to his left there.
And
Trying to get back on track.
Right after he putted this, he said, "That's channeling my old self." Yeah, there you go. 5 years ago, that's how he used to putt there with a little Anheuser. Nice putt there from Nate Doss.
It's got to feel good to take the birdie.
Yeah, a couple birdies now after the slow start. Starting to get things going a little bit.
Simon also with the birdie, making it look easy. Nate Perkins is going to be left out of the birdie party as he taps in, and then you're going to go on to a really, really interesting hole 12.
You said it. This is an interesting hole. I mean, not many times are you going to see Simon Lizotte throwing flick roller off the tee. It's not about distance on this hole at all. It's all about throwing the right distance and keeping it down the tight, narrow corridor. I'm throwing just the mid-range off the tee because this is all about the second shot. If you place a good tee shot in the middle of the fairway, you still have a tricky approach to get around the green. This hole, I can't imagine it's much more than 450 feet, but it's pretty difficult.
When you're checking your footing there again, some of the tee areas,
Find a way.
as you're begging for it to get through, some of these tee areas don't see a lot of sunlight. So when we talk about the dew or possibly the rubber, sometimes the rubber maybe never dries fully here, and that's going to affect some of the throws that you guys have.
Yeah, certainly. We have to kind of dodge some of the spots in the tee pads that are a little bit slicker than others. And Nate is throwing a pretty textbook throw here with his watermelon wasp. He's going to be in a good spot to throw the out wide sidearm skip into the green.
And Perkins usually very comfortable with his forehand, but
yeah, he gets a. He's trying to do a little dance move there. I don't know what that was, but yeah, we're looking at the tee pad there, trying to figure out how we could dry it off for the next groups, trying to just get some sort of that dirt and soot off the tee because it was really slick.
and here's a forehand roller by you. If you're going to see some trickery or forehand rollers, this is the hole that you're going to see it on by any one of our players.
Yeah.
As Doss is outstretched, throwing out and around, which is a very difficult shot.
And he's come up a bit short, but I didn't realize that he had gone too long.
I have a gap like right there, and if I can move all this, then I can like park it.
Extends past your light. It's unattached. It's dead. You can move it.
Do I have 30 seconds for it?
You can move it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already going, so you're at like 21 seconds.
So I should.
Mark your disc.
This would take me a freaking minute to get it out of the way.
Or you could waste 2 minutes watching and talking
So
about it.
I can take another gap and just take it apart. It's fine.
I mean, if you mark it, you can try to at least move some of it. But it's your decision.
It's
mean,
like
I
one.
always love it
big
when
ramp.
pros are asking questions
I
they
can
have the
probably
answer
can do
to.
it pretty quick.
Like, if this is in my lie, it's dead and unattached. Can I move it?
Of course
Simon,
you
you're
can.
number 2 in the world. You should know this. You got to know these things, Simon. Come on.
That also fits under the Simon doing Simon things category.
Yeah. And look at him. It didn't take a minute.
Like a lumberjack.
Yeah, just rip it out of there. There you go.
Now the question is, will all of this pay off? Let's see what he can do with it.
I mean, it doesn't look like he's got much in there. If you're off the fairway on this hole, really any of the holes, you ain't got much. And look at this.
Oh, and then it's so weak, dude.
Simon not fully happy with his effort.
No, and he hasn't missed the hole at this point. Well, he has, but he has the eagle to match it. So he's 6 down through 6. And Nate's just kind of not really playing this hole the way he drew it up.
This hole is very punishing. Simon trying to
this.
get... Oh!
Oh, wow, what an incredible bid. And look at him. As he said, almost so good. I had to go over there and check out his line, and if he had made that, I don't even know what I would have done. That was just incredible.
Rarely do you see forehand roller, birdie. And that's
Yeah.
what Simon almost pulled off. Solid putt here by Doss.
Yeah, that's a great birdie to pick up. I mean, we have a bogey on the card, 2 pars about to tap in. So Nate's definitely picking up one on most of the field. Even though it's a short hole, it plays so difficult.
441 feet.
Wow, it's only 441. Wow.
Moving on to 13.
Doink.
All day.
all day.
Hole 14, one of the shorter holes, or correction, hole 13, 526 feet. We just keep beating you down. Par fours, par fives.
Yeah.
There's no giving or letting up on this course whatsoever.
This really shocked me. I mean, this hole sets up for a huge hyzer flip backhand. One of the shots that Simon is one of the best in the world at. Now, this is a play I'm going with, but I throw the forehand turnover regularly. Simon, not so much. And I asked him about it afterwards. He said he just wasn't comfortable with his backhand at that moment. But this shot right here is just a late turn to get around the corner, and a little bit of a nice tree kick there. It keeps me in the fairway. But the point of that shot is just to get around the corner, not to necessarily take off a huge chunk of distance, but to just be in a spot where you can throw another shot.
That's the way you throw it.
Yeah, and that is the way you throw it right there. I mean, that's what I expected Simon to throw. That's kind of what I expected Nate to do because he's so good at these type of shots. He just kind of missed his line by a bit.
Simon again has to throw with his back to the hole.
Look at this.
Stand still, putting himself all the
Unbelievable.
way up there, and he's thrown it too far.
Unbelievable. So good. And this is that same MD2 I threw on hole 11. Just a bit more highs than I wanted, but I'm going to be about 27 feet away.
Doss has the great opportunity to throw the forehand flick up there. He's put himself in a good position to be comfortable with that. And this looks like a little bit of a air almost. He was going for that much of a flare skip?
He did the same thing, and Nate just pushes out a bit left. He's pretty frustrated about that one. But he threw the same. It's a flat top Firebird that Nate Perkins is throwing right there. And that's the same shot that he went for on hole 8, and he executed it perfectly, and he's done it again. It does look a little bit funky because he's throwing it straight into the ground, but the flat top Firebirds are so overstable that you can put it in the ground with a lot of anhyzer, and it's still going to somehow find a way to hyzer back.
And Doss will tap on. Let's move in to hole 14.
Hole 14 is a very technical.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah,
That's the way.
that's not the way to do it.
Not so much.
Yeah, it's set up pretty well for a backhand putter shot or maybe a slow mid-range. And you see Nate Perkins throwing the shot perfectly here. It's a little bit of a skip, but he's going to be about 18 feet away.
It's all about hitting this gap, as you said. It's not very far. It's just a little over 200 feet, 238 feet at that. But you just have to hit that hyzer gap if you're the righty backhander, and we see both the Nates doing that very easily.
And 3 shots here in a row look like they're right down the middle. Simon catches a little bit of a limb there, which keeps him a bit shorter than he'd like to be, but yeah, and that's oops.
Needless to say, you weren't pleased with that effort.
No, I wasn't, but I was pleased with that.
Working hard for the 3 here
Yeah.
on a 238-footer, Jerm.
Working really hard, working harder than I'd like for sure, and that's the miss that we see Simon have a lot. He doesn't miss many putts low. He has a little bit of that nose up on those P2s he's putting with. They're really understable because he's used the same ones for so long. They have a lot of glide, and when he misses, it's just usually a bit too high, which I guess in general is a more acceptable miss.
Yeah,
'cause
if you're going to
maybe-
miss anywhere, you'd rather miss too high. It won't
Yeah.
accidentally go in too low.
Right, exactly. It's not going to lift magically, but somehow maybe the air shift can drop the disc miraculously and it'll go in. So,
He says, ouch.
yeah.
How do you miss from here? So close.
Uncharacteristic from Simon. He's so good from inside the circle.
What's the strategy here, Nate? You want to get a real side to sides, so you're just kind of evacuating everything.
Evacuate.
Stroke.
Yeah, big turn by
Slight
Doss here.
overlap. Sometimes you got to go hard with the heavy stuff, but it's just a nice, even swing.
What
What about the hip movement?
That's
You can get that hidden there if you need it.
some
I'm
people
a
don't
little-
need
I'm a
that hip
little locked
movement,
up
but
right now,
Nate
so-
Nate uses it a little bit.
Tight.
It's a clean technique. He's been using it for years.
Shakira says, your hips don't lie.
Yep, that's a good point.
Oh yeah, nice little dance. Miss that. Oh
saucy little sidearm there from Nate Perkins, or as Nate Doss calls him, Percocet.
Just barely missing that tree. It looked like he was going to square off with it. Looks like one of the pines later catches him.
And John Houck didn't cut these little hollies on the left side here, so I'm brushing those and throwing the forehand turnover and getting a pretty good result.
That's a great shot.
Yeah, it's past the initial things that you really want to avoid. And Simon's just going to lay up over the top of these trees here.
And that's probably my favorite graphic out of this entire video. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much cooler than that.
And good camera angle there on the catch. Goes right over his head. Never loses sight of the disc. Even after it passes 100 feet over his head. And not exactly what Nate wanted, but good result.
This is a pretty routine forehand flick up there for you. You got plenty of room and putting it within Big Jerm's reach there.
Yeah, I'm about 50% from inside 15 feet, so I'm liking my chances.
And we talk about the angles so often here in the placement, and there, he doesn't have that far to the pin, but he still has to navigate around a tree or two.
Yep.
And has kind of this off-balance stance when he's doing it. And this course will do it to you. You can never let down your guard.
Yeah, and a good putt there from Nate Perkins. But these fairways they're fair, they're wide, but there's just enough trees to keep you honest all the way through. I mean, if you're just a little bit off, you're gonna catch one of these trees that are they're everywhere. So, but it's not like it's unfair in any way whatsoever. So it's a really nicely designed set of par 4s and par 5s from John Houck.
But we've got Nate just been killing it on the sweeping game. He's been
Look at this
just
thing.
even a short
So diligent.
tutorial on his form.
Look, he's got the hip action.
Yeah. It's like he's really getting into it. Maybe too much?
No, I think it's adequate.
Okay.
We have hole 16 here. Really nice shot to really let one loose. The only issue that can really become troublesome is that there's an early tree right off to the left side of the tee box. You can see it here leaning in. And that's what really is forcing me to throw this forehand. I mean, I've already thrown every shot forehand so far, so it's not like I'm really struggling to throw a sidearm. But that tree kind of gets in the way for trying to throw a backhand, and it forces you off to the right side of the fairway. And on the right side of the fairway, there is a tree that just sticks out enough that it can catch tee shots if you don't have it hyzering in front of.
And Simon was ready to unload one here.
That's the tree I'm talking about.
That was coming in with such force and velocity. Rick on the catch cam said, I would have loved to see that get all the way past because he thinks it could have got up there. I think Simon said he had actually eagled it multiple times in practice.
Wow, that's impressive because, I mean, how far is this hole exactly? It's got to be close to 600.
Yeah, hole number 16 measures in at 582 feet.
Yeah, so it's just under, that's not surprising to me, but it's still kind of surprising just as like a human who appreciates awesome things. And a great little approach there from Nate Perkins.
Reaching out here, and that looks like the best you could do there with that predicament you were in.
Yeah, just a kind of a prototypical little sit down, straddle out forehand approach there from me. And put it about 15 feet away or so. And Simon, who's kind of gone cold after his really hot start, kicking his mini around. He's
just a classic head in, hands in head as the hat comes off. And Simon, I know you have high expectations. You can't make every 38-footer you throw up when you're going for the birdies, but you'll be all right there, young guy. I think you got a good future ahead of you. You'll get it together yet.
He's funny to watch. His dramatics are, it's not like annoying dramatics. It's just always funny. He's entertaining even when he's not playing well. It's always fun to watch him.
He takes the lone par.
Oh. Hole 17's a technical, very technical, 303 feet, I believe, something like that. just over 300, and nice little shot there with the Firebird from Nate Perkins. And I'm going to be trying to go through a similar gap here with my Star Wraith. And kind of drew that up perfectly. I was kind of
right
planning.
off the tree.
I was planning to throw and get a little tree direction off the tree right to the fair. Yeah, I mean, that's so lucky. I just got so lucky there.
We'll find, as you guys get around to hole number 2 in a little while, you'll see hole 2 and hole 17 are almost identical shots.
Yeah, it's
They're both 303 feet or 302 feet, and you play for a low skip shot, and you have both a hyzer or an anhyzer line, right?
Yeah, unlike hole 2, 17 does have a forehand route. 2 is pretty much an exclusive backhand shot. We'll see that in a couple holes from now, but yeah, it's a very similar type of shot. You just want to throw the low corner shot, and you have to have something that finds a lot of skip and gets off to the left side.
Yeah, we just saw Simon. You said it earlier. If Simon misses, it's usually high. That's exactly what happened. Doss really struggling with his putting a moment ago, but Perkins converts, and then you're able to capitalize. And Doss has this little comebacker, and that's never seen by Nate Doss.
Yeah, you don't see many 3 putts from him. He's obviously an incredibly well-seasoned veteran, and a 3-putt is kind of one of those, I don't know, rookie mistakes. It's not something you see from him a lot because his putting style it's not that aggressive. His misses usually keep him close enough, and not that time.
And the same thing we saw back on hole 12, I believe. It seems like he just turned that over, which I'm quite surprised. He's such an efficient forehand thrower.
Yeah, maybe had a bit of issues with the grip on the tee box. I have nothing to blame on my poor shot, other than just throwing it bad. So
Definitely threw it low.
Yeah, I threw it way lower than I'd like, but actually the aim was pretty much spot on. But
that was the gap.
Yeah, exactly. I hit the gap nicely.
And Doss, what a shot there, and it just catches a really late tree. However, it gets good forward progress.
Yeah, it kind of scooted back into the fairway, and Nate with a nice little recovery second shot, way up the fairway there. Well done from Mr. Perkins.
And that's a really good position to be in. And then Simon's in a great position in that he's got an actual gap. Sometimes on that hole, there's no gap to attack whatsoever. And it looks like you've got to really bend and flex that one around, and you did it perfectly.
Yeah, that was my Sexton Firebird it's my number 1 disc in my bag right now. I go to it for so many different shots, and wasn't trying to get too much distance there, but Nate's going for a lot of distance here.
That's an impressive backhand roller all the way through the tunnel. He's going to have a long look at an eagle from there.
Yeah, this hole's been eagled before several times, but it feels like an eagle. It's not one of those, this is actually a par 4 type eagle. Like, it's a legitimate, incredibly impressive eagle. But you have to be perfect off the tee and then throw down an incredible roller second shot to even have a look at it.
And that didn't even think about turning over the way he needed it to. And when you're getting off that rough, into the rough, we talked about how punishing it can be. And you've got a good stand-up shot here that comes in nicely.
Yep, just about 18 feet or so long, and should have a nice look at birdie.
We saw Simon with almost a little short arm. This is Doss for
Come on.
eagle.
And look at that just drop. I mean, that thing was looking really nice. And just like the hole before, his putt just kind of falls down a little bit earlier than he'd like. It's kind of strange to say he's going to have to settle for a birdie.
It is, but it was a great run, and he was itching to write that 3 down, and he was so close to it.
Yeah.
And as you say, he's going to have to just simply tap in and walk away with the gimme birdie. We're going to move on to the front half of the course, or should I say the beginning of the course, 1 through 5. You guys are going to make the long walk and the turn. One, I've got to assume you feel like this sets up really good for you off the tee.
Yeah,
when you throw it right.
Yeah, it's a forehand friendly shot. You want to throw something flat that goes out About 330 feet before it starts hyzering out to the right side. But it certainly sets up really well for the forehand. If you have a lot of distance, it's going to put you in a really good spot. And Perkins has a really good forehand. He was a forehand first type player, then developed his backhand as time went on. But
Is that the same for you?
yeah, I was a forehand first and still forehand first. And I'm still developing my backhand as I go.
And Simon's going to go for the hero shot, as I call it.
That's the thing. We're talking about coming up with a name for it. It's called the Simon shot. It's not called the hero shot.
Okay. Well, he goes way big.
And it actually misses everything and hyzes out left side, which I think it was surprised him a little bit. But, I mean, whatever. He's 550 feet up the fairway once again.
Anytime you're getting a sigh out of Simon, you know that something went awry.
And I had a ton of, 4-foot wide gaps.
Come on, dude. What the frick?
I don't know what the...
Frickin' crap that was.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it was a good thumber that didn't get the result I wanted. It caught a branch out there and ended up coming up quite a bit short.
And what a kick off of that tree. He threw it basically straight into the tree, and it deflected as if it was barely even there.
And Simon's got to go for a pretty normal Tom Houck approach. He's come up just outside the circle. Not what he was looking for, but
That almost looked like trying to throw, maybe that was a little nose-up ultimate air bounce lid.
yeah, kind of something like that. And Simon making good from just outside the circle.
Again, perfectly normal. A sky turnover, then
Tomahawk,
tomahawk.
then 38-foot putt.
Yeah,
That's how you draw it up.
Yeah, that's how the pros do it. If you go to Nantucket, ride the ferry, and birdie hole one that way.
And if you do, record it so I can watch somebody else do it because it's never been done before.
And as I mentioned a moment ago, when you're on 17, hole 2 feels very similar.
He calls for the get lucky, does not get lucky. Yeah, you just have to hang this thing out wide, hit a little bit of a somewhat narrow gap on the right side of the fairway, and you, if you outdrive the hole, that rough on the right side of the fairway comes in play. Simon does not outdrive the gap, and he is parked.
How many times around can you ask for the get lucky? Is there a cap? Is there a limit?
I think, just like poker, you can only use the one time chant once. I think you can ask for the get lucky once per round.
Okay.
Per round, though. Not per tournament. You can use it 4 times per tournament in a 4-round tournament.
And speaking of that, talk a little bit about what it's like playing 2 full rounds of a par 68 here in Nantucket, because you guys are used to playing now 1 round, and a course of this caliber, just 1 round a day, and now here you are playing 2 of them.
It's a lot. It's a lot of walking, and considering, and that's uncharacteristic. That's one of those boneheaded mistakes that we make every once in a while. It's like, why did I do that? But to answer your question, it's a lot. And I'm not going to say I was chafing at the end of the day, but I'm not going to say I wasn't really bad. And so it's, I think I actually set a record. I've got one of those watches that tracks steps, and I ended up walking like 15 miles on this tournament day. And that includes, obviously, after the round festivities, but yeah, it was something like 35,000 steps for one day. So
I know I logged at least 32,000, and my steps are a little shorter, so I don't know how that math works.
Yeah, I get there a little bit
couple
quicker.
birdies here.
Yeah, sure.
Perkins taps in. Again, we talk about forehand friendly. Like you said that on hole 1. This hole sets up for a forehander.
I'm sorry. Look, okay. I just couldn't maintain my composure through that shot.
You had to step off the tee. You had to collect yourself.
I'm sorry. Simon, he hit the ground 27 feet off the tee, straight into the ground, and it skipped about 13 feet. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah.
We try not to laugh at our competitors, but when they laugh too, it makes it a little bit more okay.
Yeah,
I guess.
if you can kind of poke fun at yourself, it makes it a little more palatable. But that was tough to watch.
It wasn't tough to watch. It was hilarious to watch. I mean, again, I want everyone to throw good shots. And I don't laugh when people throw bad shots. But when they throw hilariously bad shots, I can't help myself sometimes.
Well, we're seeing a bunch of forehands that this hole just sets up for it, and Doss skips right past the basket. And Simon's got another forehand.
And see, this I don't laugh at that.
No,
like, that sucks.
because that was just kind of a bad shot.
That was just a bad shot.
It wasn't a hilariously bad shot. And that was a bad shot, but again, not one that you didn't necessarily laugh at.
Never.
He just was off on his putt.
You wouldn't laugh at that.
Simon, though.
And that's surprising. That thing, for as straight as his putters are, it was kind of a strange drift off left that he had there. He's actually going to have a little bit of meat left on the bone there for his bogey.
Yeah. I had said earlier that some of our players sometimes get in a fight with par, and he lost. And now he's challenging the bogey.
Oh, jeez. And
he's happy about that.
Squeezes in there for his bogey. I mean,
again, not how you would draw up hole number 3.
I can't even conceive a double bogey, but I mean, he almost found a way to do it.
Are you still collecting yourself at this point?
I'm
Your eyes
over
have
it.
to hurt.
I'm over it, but I knew at this point I couldn't wait until this coverage came out so I could watch it a second time.
And Doss has some cleanup. This looks like an easy birdie for Doss. And sure enough, he converts. Now we're moving on to a par 4, as these holes seem to get more difficult. Hole 2 is a par 3. Hole 3 is a par 3, and then you got a par 4 and a par 5 in the next few holes.
Yeah,
What's the play here?
Well, certainly not what I just threw right there. It really doesn't matter what you do off the tee as long as you're getting 330 feet of distance. And I try to get a little bit cheeky there by throwing a roller, and I did not put any cut on the disc, so it decided to bounce straight right. Didn't really get the best first bounce, and it jumped into the edge of the woods. Fortunately, though, if you do go off in the woods with a roller, you can't go that far because it's so thick. And you can't really go that far either if you hit the first tree on the left side. So, disappointing result there from Simon. He is going to be able to throw a lot of power into the second shot, but catches a branch, and that's going to leave him at a par at best.
Simon's somewhat struggling here, and you're going with a forehand roller.
Yeah, and that's really all I could conceivably manage to throw at that point, and actually get way closer to the basket than I ever would have thought from where I was. I'm pretty happy with the result there.
I find that if you're off on the left side of this fairway, what a great run. It seems as if it's a little easier to attack here on hole number 4, being to the left, but yet we see most of you guys kind of tight to the right side.
Yeah, the right side is more open than the left side. The left side brings in a lot more trees, and Simon, you see he has to throw a skip shot here. If that shot was on the right side of the fairway, he'd have a pretty straight putter approach, but has to throw the driver, and you see a little bit of extra action there.
A huge putt.
That's a bonus birdie. I mean, the hole itself is not that difficult, but the way I played it was just trash, and to be able to make that putt was a momentum lifter going into the second round.
And Simon continues to struggle.
Yeah,
I feel like he may have given up by now.
He was tired. He said that he just wanted to go and have some food and sit down and relax. And, when we have one round a day, it's not that difficult to push through these moments of being tired and fight your way through. But when you have another round coming up, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, good plans with Jeremy.
And hugs and hand pounds here for the group.
Wow, some sound effects even there by Doss.
Yeah.
Is he taking lessons from Big Jerm's beatboxing school?
Wow, wow, wow. No, he's not. I caught an early tree, but it fought through a little bit. Not really pleased with that result.
This is a very difficult hole to finish on after what has already been a pretty long round and a long morning. You guys have 18 holes to play after this yet, but this is no walk in the park to finish up your round.
No, certainly not. This par 5 is very demanding, very low ceiling, tight gap, and once you throw a good tee shot, you just kind of have to cross your fingers and hope that you get to where you'd like your disc to land. There's a lot of different things you have to battle with on this hole.
Not too often do you start a round on a 799-foot hole and then end it on an 811-foot hole.
Yeah.
So a couple of bookends there that are very difficult.
And if there is an eagleable par 5 in this course besides hole 18, it is this hole. And so, I think certainly Simon is looking at an opportunity to get a look at eagle and somehow manages to get past that first group of trees that he hit, and he's actually not in that bad of a spot.
You're putting down a roller here. Is that doing pretty much what you wanted? That seems like it's getting all of that and then some.
Yeah, it got good distance, but I needed it to stand up and finish off to the left side where you see Nate Perkins going right now. The right side is way tighter, so you'd like to... I'm sorry, we interrupt this broadcast to bring a ridiculous shot from Simon again. Over the top of everything, he's going to be looking at eagle. After almost hitting something feet off the tee, he's looking at an eagle putt. Weird.
There's a good redirection off the tree.
Yeah, and off to that left side like we're talking about, that's the place to be. It gives you a wide open lane to approach your third shot. And this is a very low ceiling. And the last thing I thought I was going to hit were these bushes right in front of me. But fortunately, it didn't pull me back into the woods or back into the rough. I'm going to have a fairly open approach and would really like to get up and down my par and just get out of here.
Not to mention, Nantucket serves up a heck of a catered lunch.
Oh, yeah.
For those that are worried about food. I'm not saying I am, but they're serving up a great catered lunch year after year. Just one of the many amenities that you experience when you come to this event.
Oh, look at that. Simon misses high.
Yeah, go figure.
From 65 for eagle. And Nate has missed his birdie putt. He's going to have to settle for a par to finish. And Perkins cleans up his birdie. A solid way to finish the first round. And I kind of don't want to tell people about how fun this tournament is or how cool this course is or about all the extra things that go on throughout the week because I don't want everyone to come out here and take away what we have going on. It's so much fun though. They do such a great job and it's just a pleasure to come back every year and look how much fun Simon's having.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. Look at that grin.
What is this? A staring contest is he winning or I think he lost. He lost the staring contest with the camera.
He said thank you. So, well, Big Jerm, I want to thank you for all the insights, all the commentary here throughout this entire round. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We have to thank both Todd and Louisa again, as you said, and Barry and Cassie and the whole crew over there on Nantucket, along with Mike, the assistant tournament director, and for all the viewers and Patreon supporters out there. Thanks for joining us. Anything else to say before we let you go?
No, just an incredible job. Hats off to the entire tournament staff for providing such an incredible event for the players. This isn't an event about the competition. It's about the camaraderie amongst the players, and it's just always a special week. Once we leave, we always feel a little bit more enriched than we were when we came. So thanks for everybody that has any part with having run this event, and I just can't wait to come back in 2018.
All right, looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll hear more from you on the insights during the second and final round here at the 2017 Nantucket Open.